All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Let's talk about this guy, Marc Lamont Hill. Marc Lamont Hill wants to chastise Cameron for saying that he prefers to be called black versus African American. Now, let me say this. Pan-Africanists like Dr. Umar or any other of the Pan-Africanists, their whole game is to galvanize the black people in America to support an agenda so that they can negotiate some type of political power in an African country where African Americans or black people who are not from Africa or African will go over there and be second-class citizens. It's the same old exploitation. They want the gifts, the talents, and the best of Black America to support Africa. That's no different than Arabs trying to co-opt Islam and control Black Muslims, or it's psychological colonialization. Marc Lamont Hill, he ignores everything that the Black American says about Africans. They don't mess with us. They look down on us. They think they are better than us. They think they are superior. But at the same time, they are envious and jealous of us. They're no different than the Latinos who want to take hip hop and claim it as their co-creator. Then the Africans want to have Afro beats or whatever. But the black man in America is so disconnected from Africa and Europe. He is indigenous to here. Now, I'm going to quote The Godfather. Many of you people who out there that's probably in my age group, you've ever watched The Godfather? The Godfather told Michael, he said, whoever comes to you with a peace treaty to unite the other families is a traitor. Because he's coming to you and this family at a position where we're divided and we're weak. And he wants us to join on with the family who is stronger than us at the moment, which means the destruction of us. It means the taking, co-opting of our gifts and our talents and everything. So whoever comes to you saying, let's unite with other people, when we're not united, is a traitor. I'm going to say this again. If us as Black Americans, Black people, if we're not united, anybody whose idea it is to unite us with other nations of people is a traitor. He knows he's a traitor. Because why would I unite my people to some other people when we're not united amongst ourselves? Because if we was united amongst ourselves, we wouldn't need them. It's a play. Marc Lamont Hill made his career advocating for Palestine and other people. He didn't make his career advertising for Black Americans. So he has a lot of nerve to check Cameron. Let's look at what he says. Now, this is for fair use in the 1976 Copyright Act. It's for commentary educational purposes. Let's listen to Lamont Hill. Marc Lamont Hill.
Family, it's your brother Marc Lamont Hill. A couple of days ago, Cameron made news. He had the internet buzzing. Not because of sports, which is what he's been talking about lately, and not because of rap, he's a rap legend, but because he made a comment about not wanting to be identified as African American. Here's what he said.
When you go fill out a test when you're in school and they ask you this, that, and the third, this, that, I'm going to be honest with you. I'd rather fill in Black than African American. Because Africans don't even fuck with us.
Wow.
Because they don't.
And Americans do?
Well, you're American, Mace. You're born in America. When you go to the Olympics, and when I say African American, you go over there, they call us Yankees and all that. They fuck with us, but they with that we're not from the motherland. We're from we're from America. So I'd rather say I'm a black American. When we go to the Olympics as a country and somebody black is fighting from the United States, you don't say African American, you say American. You don't even put a color on it. It's an American fighter fighting a European fighter, or China or Japanese or anything. You're known in the Olympics as an American. It doesn't matter what color you are. You're an American fighting against somebody from Cameroon or Senegal, whatever. The point being is they don't categorize it when it's world competition, but when it's other shit, it needs to be categorized. So I consider myself a black American. I don't consider myself African American. And shout out to all my niggas in Africa. Much love. But y'all don't consider us real Africans. Y'all don't.
Now, normally I mind my own business on this kind of stuff, sort of. But I felt the need.
He should have mind his own business because he has always been a sellout. Think about this. He wants to be an African American who advocates for Palestine and other ethnicities before his own, and then wants to check what he wants to be named the African American, which is a black man. He wants to say he shouldn't say he identifies as black. But in this country, a man can identify as a woman and a woman can identify as a man. So you mean a black man can identify as a black man? Really? And Marc Lamont Hill, you got fired from mainstream media for advocating for Palestine, not going hard for black people. When it came to black people, you just wanted to be super intelligent. You wanted to be boule and bourgeoisie. And the very fact that you think that you can get on the internet and check Cameron about saying he black shows hubris, arrogance, and you out of touch. Ain't nobody listen to you, Roland Martin, or none of you sellouts. None of you Democratic shields. Ain't nobody trying to hear y'all.
To respond directly to Cam because I think this issue is that important. So, Cam, my brother, here is my response to you. First of all, as you know, and I said this to you publicly and privately, I appreciate you. I love you. I love the work you're doing. You're one of my favorite rappers. And now to watch you and Mace on that show doing the work you're doing is incredibly important. It's empowering and it is uplifting. But with that platform, of course, comes a big responsibility because people look to you for insight. They look to you for advice. They shape their worldview based on what you say. So when you made that statement, it's going to have other people echoing it. And I want to make sure that we break down what's right about what you said and what's wrong about what you said. For me, saying you black is cool. I often say,
First of all, who is Lamont Hill to say that anything Cameron said is wrong? Can't we identify however we want to identify?
I'm black as opposed to African American because I don't want to exclude my brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, my brothers and sisters from the continent of Africa. In the United States, when you say you black, it encompasses all of that because the police don't care if you came in on a boat last year or 400 years ago. When you don't get the job or you don't get the house or you don't get the credit or you don't get whatever it is because of your race, people don't care whether you are African from the continent, whether you're African from the Caribbean, whether you're African from the United States. So for me, black in that way is a good framework to include all of us. I'm with that part of it. But we can't let go of Africa, my brother. And I'll tell you why. First of all, the idea that Africa.
What do we mean we can't let go of Africa? Most of us, I would say 99.5 of us have never been to Africa. Few of us still have a known relative in Africa. We are generations and eons, some of us, away from Africa, which the people on that continent never even heard the name Africa until they came in contact with Europeans. That continent was called Akibalan. He knows this. This is a sellout. And I'm explaining to you why in so many uncertain terms. Why would he want to unite us with any other people, any other country when we're not united amongst ourselves? He wants to exploit us in hopes of him having another power or position or status politically with another country as a representative of us, as he brings us to them. This has been his whole career. And his arrogance to think that we even listen to him. This was like how Ari Spears jumped out there on Cat Williams. He jumped out there on Cameron.
Africans don't fuck with us is, I think, not true. It's exaggerated and inflated. Africa is a continent, and every country is different. Every region is different. The idea of even calling Africa a single place is something that really Europeans did. It happens in a way that ignores the fact that there's different tribes and different cultures and different civilizations, sometimes that aren't even connected by a country. So it's complicated. So I would never say all of Africa does this or all of Africa does that. But in general, what I would say is there's a long history of Africans on the continent connecting with black folk here in the United States. When we were marching for civil rights, there were people in Accra, Ghana singing "We Shall Overcome." They were hearing our songs, they were hearing our music, they were hearing and witnessing our struggle. And as they fought for independence in countries like Ghana, they watched what we did and they felt a connection. In Sierra Leone, they feel a connection. In Ivory Coast, they feel a connection. In Cote d'Ivoire, they feel a connection. In South Africa, they feel a connection. When we were marching to end apartheid and to get Nelson Mandela out of prison, they certainly banged with black Americans who were struggling with and for them. Are there some folk who don't? Are there some who ain't even black? Look at North Africa, a whole bunch of Arabs. Are there people who come here and think they better than the average nigga on the street? Absolutely. And some of them got to get a nigga wake up call when the police stop them and don't care what country they came from or how non-African American they are. So we understand all of that. But at the end of the day, we are a united people. And the extent to which we are disconnected is the extent to which white.
You see how he just lied? He said we are a united people. That's a lie. When is the last time you seen any country in Africa financially, economically, socially doing anything to help the communities of black people in America? We did more for them by marching for apartheid to free Nelson Mandela than they ever did for us. Do you see the government of South Africa supporting the black man in America? We helped them overcome apartheid. They have helped us with nothing. They elite come over here and compete with us for scholarships and jobs and positions while they look down their nose at us and are proud of their ancestors being slave traders that sold a lot of black people to Europeans during the period of slavery. Think about that.
White supremacy has wedged us apart. So the goal for us now is to bring everybody back together. And why? We gotta recognize that our history and our roots are African. We are African people. When you go
Lies.
through New York City and you meet somebody who's Italian or Irish or German or Indian, we don't say Irish American. We don't say, yo, my homie was dating this Irish American girl, or yo, my homie was tiptoeing out with this Italian American chick. Nah, right? We don't say, yo, the Indian American guy up the street gave me a hard time in the.
I think people like him, their tools of the Democratic Party and their tools to undermine the goal of getting reparations. Because for real, the reason I think that Europeans are unwilling to give us reparations because we will not hold accountable other participants in the slave trade. like Arabs and other Africans. So to only come at them is disingenuous because we ignore the fact that they could have never got slaves off the continent of Africa without the complicity of Africans. They could have never took any large amount of slaves off the continent of Africa without the help of Africans. That's why I've said in my other videos, no kings and queens ever got off slave ships. They were the one that sold people to the slavers. No kings and queens got on there. And when you listen to him, he's trying to explain why we shouldn't identify as who we are, Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. He's really going against Tariq and ADOS. He still wants his job back with them people. So he comes out against, don't say y'all Black, say y'all African American. Why? We not no fifth column within the confines of the United States for Africa. We not spies over here for Africa. Again, when is the last time any country from Africa ever supported anything that we're doing in the Black community? He said they sung our songs when they was over there dealing with apartheid. That's because they seen us over here fighting away from our homeland, and they was in their own backyard. Y'all couldn't get free in your own backyard. You think about that. In that whole continent of Africa, how y'all controlled by Europeans to this day? And you look to the Black man in America who's still oppressed but free. Oppressed but free. Because we can opt out of being oppressed any day we want. Any day we want, we can stand up and say, we ain't taking no more of this, and let's get busy. But we're not doing that in the name of Africa. If we ain't doing that in the name of each other, we ain't doing it in the name of Sandra Bland. We ain't doing it in the name of Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks or any other of our own that's been victimized. Why would we take on the mantle of identifying with Africa when they don't identify with us unless it benefits them? And you know that, Marc Lamont Hill, you're trying to jockey for a position as a leader, and you can never lead a Black man in America trying to attach us to somebody else and bring us to them as if we want to be second-class citizens in their world. Rather build our own. Africans trying to, we got Afro beats and this, that, and other, and the Latinos over here, and we created hip hop, and everybody's stealing from us. Now they want to steal our identity and colonialize our ethnic group that we are establishing as a new people. Marc Lamont Hill, you are a traitor to Black people. And you're an embarrassment to the American government because you advocate for Palestine more than you advocate for your people. So already know you don't have no real friends with white America. The way you advocate for Palestine, you slow if you think you're going to get us to follow you to Africa and to your politics that have nothing to do with the Black man in America. Boy, bad. Keep talking and supporting Palestine. That's what you do. You keep doing that. Stick to what you know.
The cab, we call them where they're from because that's their culture, that's their origin, that's their story. So when we disconnect ourselves from Africa by not calling ourselves African American, we advance the story. We echo the lie that our history began when slavery began, that we're not connected. That those babies up in Harlem or Brooklyn or Queens, or even better, Philly, those beautiful, brilliant Black babies aren't connected to a tradition of people who could tell weather patterns, predict weather patterns long before they were weathermen, who could outline the stars and the constellations long before There were Western astronomers, people who had philosophy and faith and discipline and civilization long before white people ever stood up. We got all that, bruh. And we had that from Africa. So
He using real technology. We got that now. Us as black Americans, us as black people, we keep trying to romanticize and fantasize about some African coalition that is non-existent in our real reality, in our day-to-day life. Again, when have you seen any country, any president in Africa other than Gaddafi who was willing to help the black man in America? How could somebody like Marc Hill, whose whole career has been based on Palestine support, lead us into anything? His whole conversation is about the black man in America identifying with Africans in the Caribbean. And listen, they do not like us like that. They like the benefits that they get from being close to us as black Americans and them as immigrants. That's it. Because they can live in our communities and look like us, but be immigrants while they come up. In the back of their mind, they think we're so slow that they're getting one over on us and the government, when in all actuality, as a black American, listen, you're not no threat to us. You're only a threat to yourself if you think that you can come over here and blend into a society that we helped build, that we haven't still blended into. So you come over here and all you really do is eat off us. Have you noticed the Arabs when they come over here and Koreans when they come over here, they very seldom go put their businesses in white neighborhoods. They come specifically over here to service us, specifically over here to be in competition with us. And now you want us to be subservient and identify with them. That is politically dumb. That is spiritually dumb. It is illogical. And it's based on greed, trickery, and a bunch of other nonsense. The black man in America is something new. The black woman in America is something new. And they shouldn't be ashamed of being something new because God said he was going to create a new people. So why would a new people keep trying to tie and connect with an old people unless it's some type of deceit?
So when we cut ourselves off from Africa, we cut our own babies off and ourselves off from the genius and the brilliance of our tradition. Hip hop, as much as it's born in the Bronx, hip hop is rooted in Africa. And I hear you when you say,
You see what that Negro just did? What I tell you. And I didn't even see it this far. You see what he just did? He said hip hop is rooted in Africa. The Puerto Ricans say they helped create it. This guy is pitiful. He can't check the temperature in the room. He been so far up under the thumb of mainstream media, he don't even know that when you come to the internet with this nonsense, YouTubers is gonna make you go viral because ain't nobody listening to you. 95% of black Americans identify as being black. Jesse Jackson started the term African American. You think Jesse had more knowledge than Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, and those before him who never used that term? Him and Al Sharpton, the Fed. Come on now. Let's listen to this guy. Try to sell us on this. He out of touch.
Africans don't see us as real Africans. But brother, I'm going to push back on that just a little bit. Pause. There is a large chunk of the African continent. And again, it's a continent with lots of different countries, cultures, and values and politics that see us as brothers and sisters and long distant relatives who they want to come home. Think about the March of Return. In 2019, Ghana invited the global community to come back to return to home, which is Africa, and specifically Ghana. And so many Black people, African people, went to Ghana. They saw the culture, they saw the connection, they felt the love from the African people. And for that reason, many people are building alliances. Our dear brother Boris Kojo is doing that right now, trying to build political, cultural, and economic infrastructure in Africa for us, Black folk in America. The brother Akon is trying to do the same thing. Have some critiques of what he's doing, but the idea is solid. And when you talk to African people on the continent, and I know you do, they love you. They see you as their brother. They don't see you as the European. They don't see you as a white American. They see you as them in a different situation. It's up to us to build the relationship back.
Everybody know that's a damn lie. Them Africans over there identify with their tribe. In South Africa, they are still tribes. They are still Zulu. They identify culturally with their tribal ancestry. He's lying. He's lying. If you meet a Nigerian and you ask him where he's from, he's going to say Nigeria. He's not even going to use the word African. You can meet any person you think is from the country of Africa or the continent of Africa. You ask them where they're from, they're not going to say Africa. They're going to say, I'm Somalian, I'm Ghanaian, I'm Kenyan. So when he tries to get us to identify with saying that we're African, he's trying to sell us out for a benefit that he can get by being a broker between the Black man and woman in America with all their talents and all their gifts and all their entitlement to North America to be subservient and second-class citizens on a continent we know nothing about. A continent.
So that we can have a firm community. We got to hold on to Africa for the babies, for ourselves, and also so that we can strengthen our global community, our international networks, so that Black folk or African folk here in the United States can have a relationship with African folk in the continent, on the continent of Africa, so that we can create something bigger and better than what we got right now. I feel you. There's a way that we are just American.
Have you noticed no countries in Africa on the continent is trying to reach out to Black communities to offer or share resources to network? Where are they ambassadors? When they ambassadors come from Africa, they ambassadors go talk to white people. They ambassadors don't even talk to the Black caucus. They go and they talk to white people at the United Nations. They don't even engage us, the people that actually run the continent. But they would like to co-opt everything we've accomplished and everything we've ever been since we've been on the move and we've been on the rise. This is a poor attempt at selling out. And then he had the nerve to jump out on camera. Come on.
I travel, that blue American passport get me out of a whole lot of stuff. They don't care if I'm Black. They don't care for what. That blue and that green, the cash, gets me out of shit. I feel you. There's a way that we are American, and Black folks should never deny our Americanness because we built this country. You're right about that. At the Olympics, we Black. But I'm going to give you a sports example. When France wins, them African players that win the World Cup or win an Olympic gold medal for France, them Africans, when they win, they French. When they lose, they African. What does that mean? They never really forget that you ain't them. And here in America, them is white. So we are American. And also, we don't want to forget the fact that we got Black American traditions. Hip hop is a Black American tradition. The things we do, the clothes we wear, our styles are rooted in the fact that we are American and Black American, and we come out of a tradition of slavery. We are.
He just contradicted himself about hip hop is Black American tradition. Just a few minutes prior to that, he said it was out of Africa. See, this brother, every brother ain't a brother because of their color. I'm telling you. Then a lot of people, they'll get in your comments when you disagree with somebody like this. Say, oh, it's another brother bringing another brother down. He's not a brother. No matter how he tries to explain it or whatever, and his support of Palestine is what got him in a position to where he's doing things for likes and views on YouTube, not advocating for black people.
Are descendants of slavery. We need to be honest about that. I ain't denying any of that. But we got to be able to do both things at the same time. We got to be able to hold on to our Black Americanness and our African Americanness while simultaneously recognizing the fact that we are children of the motherland. So, my brother, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you about not wanting to be called African American for the reasons that you gave. And hopefully we can build on that further. And I can also explain to you why the Philadelphia 76ers.
He clout chasing. He clout chasing, and he wants Cameron to respond so there could be dialogue, so he could teach Cameron something. Cameron is a grown ass man, just like he is, and he thinks he has some type of superior knowledge that Cameron doesn't have. His arrogance and hubris is pitiful to think that he could sell us out for all them years while he was doing what he was doing for those major networks, and then come to YouTube and think that he's going to have a large following. Nobody's going to listen to you. We know you a sellout, bro. We know you will sell us out in the New York Minute. We don't want to hear anything from you as it relates to our blackness. Thank you kindly. Like, share, and subscribe. Detroit's HPTV come to you out of Detroit. Keep y'all head on swivel.